All right, folks at home, I wanted to put this out for y'all so y'all could get a little bit more detail into how the project that we're launching today is going to go, and hopefully to alleviate any questions that you may have, at least initial questions. So we're finally at the point where we can launch, and as you know, we've combined the cardiovascular and the respiratory systems together into one. And a lot of that is because they work really, really closely together as far as their function is concerned. And I want to give you a little bit of background on this one. This used to be two separate projects. Last year, it was two separate projects. And the cardiovascular system, about this time, is what we focused on. And we did a informational campaign around American Heart Month. American Heart Association designated February as American Heart Month. And so we worked on educational materials for that. The timing of the project happened to line up really, really well. And then we did something else separately with the respiratory system that had to do with air pollution and stuff like that. Partway through the project timeline last year, I discovered that the PE classes that do a health fair, or they did. And so I kind of got in on that right at the very last minute, and I worked with Miss Montgomery, and we had planned on incorporating the two courses together into one overall event. Now, because of the current restrictions that we have to work under for this school year, the actual health fair isn't going to happen the way that it has in the past, but we're going to come up with something a little bit different. And so what we're going to do, still in the vein of this American Heart Month, but also kind of along the lines of, you know, the new year, a lot of people use this as a time to reset and wipe the slate clean and start our New Year's resolutions. Maybe we're going to eat better, exercise, kick a bad habit or something like that. And so this new project idea fits really well into both of those. And so we're going to highlight some of these things that you can do to help with your New Year's resolutions, but also to provide education of things you can do about heart disease. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women in the United States. And so chances are you know somebody in your family, in your life somewhere that has heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart murmurs, heart arrhythmia, things like that. And so this is a way to sort of provide education for that as well. And so what we're going to do, instead of a health fair, we're going to come up with more of like a health walk, exercise trail, something like that. Okay. You may have seen in some parks as you're walking around, there's stations that have particular activities and maybe some information about what's going with that activity and why you're doing it and stuff like that. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. So Miss Montgomery and we put together a 11 topic course that we're going to go through. And we're going to work in conjunction with her PE classes to create this. Now, our primary role is to develop the educational material that have to do with each one of the top topics listed right here. And then the PE classes are going to form groups around these topics, and they're going to come up with some sort of activity that supports what it is that we're creating. Now, as far as what we're creating, we're going to be creating 60-second informational clips based on those topics that are listed here in the entry document. And then we'll work with the PE groups and their activities to make sure that everything lines up together as far as creating that final visual before we put everything together. There is a time limit on this video because we want to make sure that we get through the goal is to get through all of the stations. We want to get through at least most of them during the time that we have allotted. So our videos need to be 60 seconds. No shorter than 50 seconds, no longer than 70 seconds. Outside of those time limits, the penalties are going to be pretty stiff because we want to make sure that they cover all the ground that they need to, but they don't take up a whole lot of time so we can get through all the different courses and stuff like that. So if you look at the topics, this is going to tell a journey. So there's a certain sequence that we're going to go through when we're looking at this. An introduction, why do you need to exercise? What are some of the specific risks of a sedentary lifestyle? How the heart contracts. That's basically how the heart works. What happens if you do things to it, like cholesterol, overtrain. We're going to talk about lungs and that gas exchange part. So scan through those topics here in just a little bit, especially when you're trying to figure out your groups and stuff like that. Individually, we're not actually changing anything. We're still going to have the benchmarks. We're still going to have the peer assessment. We'll have individual reflections, progress monitoring as far as where you're at with your video and things like that. As of right now, the benchmarks, when they're going to be happening or what exactly they're going to look like, that hasn't been established yet. That'll be established soon. And as soon as I get that information, I'll get that posted for you. Now, I would like to point out at this point, there are some points that are highlighted with an asterisk, like you can see right there. That just means that certain items are subject to change based on, if you look down here at the bottom, based on changes that may take place. Because there are some things that have not been established yet that we still need to iron out. So just keep that in mind. And one of the big things that we ask about when you're doing this is we ask you to be flexible as we're going through this creation process. Some things that are pretty set in stone, though, are the due dates. Final submission of your video is going to be Wednesday the 17th. We're going to do presentations in some form. Right now, currently, it's a gallery walk style. February 18th and 19th. So that's about 3 weeks away. The final products will actually be presented during Eagle Day in February. That's where the time limit comes in. This is actually going to be one of the sessions that people can sign up for. And we'll have more information about how that looks like as we get that particular part developed. So what I'd like you to do is look at this in a little bit greater detail. I just kind of skimmed over most of this stuff, so read through it a little more slowly. And then transition over into the knows and the need to know so I can explain how that's going to work. All right, so we're going to be doing the knows and the need to knows a little bit differently this time around. We're going to be making class need to knows. Now, as I go through the class period, I'm going to create a copy of that. I'm going to post the copy that we put together in Echo. So this is first period. We've already seen there. So fifth and sixth period, yours are going to come by tomorrow afternoon. And what I would like you to do is take a look at the document that's created and either A, add to the questions that you may have and things that you know about that, or start the document if it hasn't been created yet. Actually, scratch that. Wait for the document to post. So I know that's a little frustrating for some people, but I'm going to pop it up pretty quickly into the class period. So add any questions that you have there. And one of the things that I'm going to do that's a little bit differently with the project work time is I'm going to have a little bit more of a protocol, a more defined protocol as far as how we work, keeping track of who's doing what. Are we addressing all the knows and the need to knows and stuff like that? So that's going to be what the knows and need to knows coordinator. That role is going to be a little bit more well-defined and a little more explicit as we're going through, because I want you all to have a greater stake in the creation of this process. And so y'all may come up with questions that I or Miss Montgomery don't come across. And so we want to make sure that we're getting all those questions answered. We don't want to have any surprises when we get to like the week before or the night before or something like that. So please make sure you take some time to take a look at this after it's been posted. Like I said, it'll be posted pretty soon after class starts. So just be on the lookout for that. Now, as far as grouping is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and change things up a little bit. Y'all are going to be able to create your own groups based on the topic. So let me go back into the entry event list real quick. Now, the other thing that is a little bit different that we're going to be doing with this is we're running 2 courses, okay? So there's a possibility, well, and I'm expecting there to be repeats. There's going to be 2 groups doing each one of the 11 topic-based stations, okay? So by the end of the day, Tuesday, I'm going to have a sign-up sheet posted. You're going to go in there. One person in your group is going to put in your name, your topic, your class period. Now, a couple of rules as far as selecting your groups. You have to stay within your class period, okay? I'm trying to minimize the amount of complexity that this is bringing to bear, And we are going to have to coordinate at some point with the PE classes. So there is going to be some collaboration between groups across the class periods and across the different classes. And so if we add a layer of difficulty by allowing groups within anatomy to work within different classes, I think that's just going to cause too many problems as far as coordinating information and getting everything done. So you have to choose your group within your class period. You have to have at least 3 people. On a case-by-case basis, we can potentially have up to 4 members per group, but we'll have to wait and see how that works. I'll keep the sign-up sheet open Tuesday afternoon, all day Wednesday, and most of the day Thursday. Thursday afternoon, I'm going to close the sign-up sheet and then finalize group assignments by Friday morning. That way we can make sure that all of the stations are covered. And if we have any people that didn't sign up for a group or anything like that, I can make sure they are either grouped together with other stragglers, or I can attach them to groups so we can go ahead and get started on that. So be on the lookout for that sign-up sheet by Tuesday afternoon. So for right now, be in contact, or you may have already been contacted by some of your classmates about being in a group. So get your group members lined up, start looking at your topics that you are interested in doing, maybe doing some preliminary research from your notes or the internet or something like that, and be on the lookout for that sign-up sheet. Also, please make sure you fill out that knows and the need to knows, especially some of those big picture questions that haven't been addressed yet. And once we get everybody through, I'm going to post one master knows and need to know so we can make sure that we get all the questions answered across the 4 classes. If you have any questions, put them in the knows and the need to knows. Other questions you can ask me. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all again soon.